Hi BookTube, it's Gina again. I thought in honor of Tolkien Reading Day, I would do a short reading for you from The Fellowship of the Rings, Book 1 in the Lord of the Rings book. Now, I am sitting in my office here today. I'm actually just looking at my desk where I normally sit to work. And this is my next set of bookshelves, which I don't think I've really shared with you guys. So I just thought I would show you. These shelves are tall and we've got some records there. This is where my producer Greg keeps his guitar collection, and then his very crowded desk there. But this is a very heavily used room, and I've got a comfortable orange reading chair in here. And so I thought I would just do a little short reading for you from the first chapter called A Long Expected Party. Now, well, we're gonna get to a point. I'm gonna start reading, and then I'm gonna jump in with a couple of bits of commentary as we go here. So this is chapter 1, A Long Expected Party. When Mr. Bilbo Baggins of Bag End announced that he would shortly be celebrating his 11st birthday with a party of special magnificence, there was much talk and excitement in Hobbiton. Bilbo was very rich and very peculiar, and had been the wonder of the Shire for 60 years, ever since his remarkable disappearance and unexpected return. The riches he had brought back from his travels had now become a local legend, and it was popularly believed, whatever the old folk might say, that the hill at Bag End was full of tunnels stuffed with treasure. And if that was not enough for fame, there was also his prolonged vigor to marvel at. Time wore on, but it seemed to have little effect on Mr. Baggins. At 90, he was much the same as at 50. At 99, they began to call him well-preserved, but unchanged would have been nearer the mark. There were some that shook their heads and thought this was too much of a good thing. It seemed unfair that anyone should possess, apparently, perpetual youth as well as, reputedly, inexhaustible wealth. It will have to be paid for, they said. It isn't natural, and trouble will come of it. But so far, trouble had not come, and as Mr. Baggins was generous with his money, most people were willing to forgive him and his oddities and his good fortune. He remained on visiting terms with his relatives, except, of course, the Sackville Bagginses, and he had many devoted admirers among the hobbits of poor and unimportant families. But he had no close friends until some of his younger cousins began to grow up. The eldest of these, and Bilbo's favorite, was young Frodo Baggins. When Bilbo was 99, he adopted Frodo as his heir and brought him to live at Bag End, and the hopes of the Sackville Bagginses were finally dashed. Bilbo and Frodo happened to have the same birthday, September 22nd. "You had better come and live here, Frodo, my lad," said Bilbo one day, "and then we can celebrate our birthday parties comfortably together." At that time, Frodo was still in his tweens, as the Hobbit called the irresponsible 20s between childhood and coming of age at 33. 12 more years passed. Each year, the Bagginses had given very lively combined birthday parties at Bag End. But now it was understood that something quite exceptional was being planned for that autumn. Bilbo was going to be 11-1, 111, a rather curious number, and a very respectable age for a hobbit. The old Took himself had only reached 130, and Frodo was going to be 33, an important number, the date of his coming of age. Tongues began to wag in Hobbiton and Bywater, and rumor of the coming event traveled all over the Shire. The history and character of Mr. Bilbo Baggins became once again the chief topic of conversation, and the older folks suddenly found their reminiscences in welcome demand. No one had a more attentive audience than old Ham Gamgee, commonly known as the Gaffer. He held forth at the Ivy Bush, a small inn on the Bywater Road, and he spoke with some authority, for he had tended the garden at Bag End for 40 years, and had helped old Holman in the same job before that. Now that he was himself growing old and stiff in the joints, the job was mainly carried out by his younger son, Sam Ganji. Both father and son were on very friendly terms with Bilbo and Frodo. They lived on the hill itself in number 3, Bagshot Row, just below Bag End. All right, I'm going to pause there. But that makes me think that I'm going to go ahead and keep reading. I'm going to go ahead and keep reading this. I love this book. I love this so much. I skipped the prologue, but I'll go back and reread that too, because that's an important part where it talks all about hobbits and their proclivities, their size, their descriptions, how they like to eat and drink and be merry. It's wonderful. What I was going to say about this book when I first started reading was that I read this after The Hobbit when I was in 6th grade. So I was young, and I was so upset the first time I read this, and I realized that Bilbo was not going to be the hero of this story. I had fallen so much in love with Bilbo in The Hobbit, and when I got to this and realized that the main character was going to be Frodo, I was very upset. And this was I was 11 years old, so not surprised by that. But now, of course, I love Frodo just as much, if not more, than Bilbo. So just a little take on the Fellowship of the Ring to celebrate Tolkien Reading Day. Bye.